Hi, everybody. This is Holly from Holly's Pandorium, and we're back again, and we're going to talk with somebody new. So I have not heard any of his stories, so this will be really fun because I don't know where he's been or what he's done. So I wanted to welcome Dave Wells. Hello, Dave.
Hello.
And Dave has got a life as a psychic medium and a paranormal researcher. So, first things first, Dave, I want to know, tell us what it is that you had for a first experience with the paranormal. How old were you? And give us a picture, paint a picture for us of what happened and what you went through.
Ooh, okay. Well, I've never really told anybody this story, but I believe the first real experience I had with spirit was I'm, my mother died when I was 6 years old. All
Oh,
right, and my father and my sisters were all trying to get. We were at the funeral where she was had been laid out,
hmm.
and they were trying to get me to come out of the room. I wouldn't do it. They offered presents. They offered money. My father, threatened to spank me, and I just wouldn't do it. So they started the service, and I all of a sudden I came walking out. I walked up to my mother's body, and I reached over and I kissed her, kind of a goodbye. And my father said, Dave, he goes, that was really the best thing I've ever seen you do. He goes, the fact you came out there by yourself. And I said, Dad, I wasn't by myself. Mom walked me down. So that was the first time I ever saw spirit or had any kind of connection. But
Okay.
my mother, she's in the, I don't know if you can see her behind me, but
Okay.
she was a famous witch. Okay. And I'm going to say that it seems like that I was always destined to do this. Um, like I say, right, my mother died when I was 6. My father died when I was 18. But the last thing he did, he sent me to Nassau, to the Bahamas, to study with the shaman. I
Nice.
lived there for a year and a half. At 18 years old, that was a great year, to be honest with you.
I
Um,
bet.
but um, but I came back and I settled down. I learned a lot from him. He told me he gave me his gift of sight, but I came back. I met a woman, and we got married, and we had 4 kids, and it was it was something I always thought I wanted because like I say, I lost my mother and father when I was very young.
Right.
Um, so it's something I always thought I wanted. But then my wife, after 17 years, she got sick and she passed away, died of cancer. And
I'm
then
so
it just seemed
sorry.
like all my gifts and everything just started kicking in. I'd always grown up. I was always the weird kid. You know what I mean? I was always the one who was into the UFOs and the astral projection and the Bigfoot. And we had a local monster cryptid where I live and grew up in Loveland, Ohio, called the Frogman. All right. Um, but um, but like I say, it was after my first wife died that seemed like everything kicked in. Um, I started having, I guess, I had a second awakening where I was questioning everything about myself and the world around me. So I started helping people, and well, I'm a stonemason bricklayer by day, but I'm a psychic medium and paranormal investigator by night. Um, my current wife and I have been together, and I've never been so happy. But we bought an 1860 haunted house. Okay, it was part of the Underground Railroad. All right, when we bought it, I got a great deal. I got it for half the price it was marketed at, right? So I
Hmm.
was like, I was happy. Well, the
Hmm.
neighbors came to me and they said, your house is haunted. And I said, great. All right. So um, I found Facebook. I started doing readings. I started helping people online,
Hmm.
I started in I've been an administrator in some of the biggest groups on Facebook. I love doing lives. I like getting on there and helping as many people as I can.
Hmm.
And then I discovered festivals. So I've been doing this Body, Mind, and Spirit Festival. It used to be called the Victory of Light Festival here in Cincinnati. That's where I live, Cincinnati.
Okay.
Um, but I started doing the festival, and it's just been the greatest experience of my life. It's the biggest festival in the world, and I do pretty good at it, to be honest. I do vending and I do readings for people, but
Hmm.
my favorite part of the whole thing is the seminars I do. I do a seminar each day and
Hmm.
they're always standing room only. Usually have, you know, a couple hundred people in there, and I read everyone in the room, everyone. I don't care if it takes hours, you know. It just really, really, it's more than money and it's more than validation. It's just the fact that I'm helping these people.
Wow.
It really means a lot to me. It really meant a lot to me. I can say I've had a pretty strange life, but it seems like, you know, it seems like this is who I'm supposed to be, or you know.
Right.
Um, but
No, I get that. Yeah.
In Cincinnati, we've got so many haunted places. I mean, I'm like, well, 5 minutes from Bobby Mackey's haunted nightclub. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I'm a good friend of Bobby's, and we used to go there a lot. But they just recently had it torn down. They're gonna have to rebuild.
Okay.
But we're like an hour from Waverly Hills. We're
Hmm.
like an hour from the Great Serpent Mound,
Hmm.
which is an excellent place. I do festivals up there every year. Also, I do the Equinox festivals in June, and
Nice.
just and then we're like an hour and a half from Point Pleasant, where
Hmm.
you know the Mothman is, and we go all these places. It's just the more I do these things, the more I enjoy it. I'm getting older, so I'm trying to stop doing as much, you know, brick and stone mason. But
Right.
my plan is I like to travel. I've always liked to travel, but my wife and I we plan on traveling and seeing the country and maybe, you know, checking out some haunted places, some maybe some cryptids. In May, we're doing a Bigfoot investigation in Michigan at a luxury B&B, and it
Hmm.
right backs up right into a state forest, or I guess a national forest.
Okay.
So we're kind of looking forward to that. There's going to be about 20 people there. A couple of the big people in the Bigfoot, I guess, Bigfoot world. But
Nice.
I'm just really looking forward to just getting out and enjoying myself for a change.
That sounds wonderful. That sounds like you got a lot of adventures you've had and a lot of stuff you're going on. So tell me what it is that um, made you really sure when let's go back a little bit and go back to the training that you got. So when your dad sent you on this vacation type thing, um, did you realize what was going on, or was it kind of predestined that you were going to meet someone there to learn these type of things, or what?
Well, I'd always been, like I said, always been the strange kid, you know, the one who always, like I say, I was into everything, the ESP and the astral projection. And I've
Hmm.
been doing astral projection since I was 6 years old. I've been meditating since I was 6 years old. But my mother, she was a famous witch. And
Hmm.
I'm a firm believer in the gifts, abilities. They travel through family lines.
Hmm.
But I'm a really firm believer that everyone has psychic gifts, psychic abilities. It's
Me
like
too.
any other muscle in the human body. You just got to use it, exercise it more to make it stronger. But I don't know. I tried when I married my first wife. I tried to, you know, put everything away and focus on my career. I have a successful business. Been in business 47 years.
Wow.
Um, and like I say, I still doing it. So, but my first wife, she got sick, and she gave me a set of some pewter runes with the Vikings set
Hmm.
of the Viking, I guess, alphabet on there,
Sure.
and she says this is what you're supposed to do. And so I practiced with them. I started using them, and then my daughter, she bought me a set of oracle cards. Now I have 85 sets. But to
Oh,
be honest, I don't read oracle cards like anybody else. Okay,
okay.
I do.
Okay.
I pull the cards. But I found that, especially when I do these live readings with people at the festivals,
Hmm.
um, people are more comfortable if you have a crystal ball in front of you, or if you have cards, because they don't want to believe that you can feel or know these things about them. You know, they have to have some kind of, I guess, something to pin it on. You know, well, the cards told him, but I read them intuitively. I'll lay out some cards, and they will give me a direction. But I don't know. I've always had the ability where I can read people. You know, if if I have a physical touch with you, it's like a computer. I can pull off so much information. It's really unbelievable. And but again, when people are around me, I give off a lot of energy. Okay, I've always been like this. But I don't know. I guess people saw my gifts before I did, or maybe they I don't know, before I realized them, or you know, acknowledged them. But my father, he wanted me to go and learn, And I also studied for a year with a shaman in Canada with the First Nations people in Calgary, and
Hmm.
that was a really good experience. I learned a lot there too. I'll tell
Can
you
you
a quick.
share some of that? Can you share some of the experiences that you had while you were learning?
All right. Well, when I was in Calgary, this is a good one. All right. We were in a sweat lodge. Okay. I loved it. Look, it was like being a kid again. I got to
Hmm.
hunt. I got to fish. Um, the shaman, she was beautiful. She really, but, but, there's this one time we were in a sweat lodge. Okay. We were all in there and we were doing our thing. And the chief came up to me and he said, I want you, and you to come with me now. So we put on our clothes. And we're like, what? He said, there's wild man, a wild man of the woods been seen around. So we want you to escort the women down to the parking lot and back up because the the first natives, and I guess it wasn't I wouldn't say a village, but their little town was
Okay.
on a hill. So we had to escort the women to and from because of the wild man. And I said, what's the wild man? And apparently that's what they would call the Bigfoot. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and it was just different, you know. I mean, it was, like I say, living there in Canada was one of the freest times I've ever had my entire life.
Mm.
Um, it was amazing, but like I say, all things have to come to an end.
Yeah, yeah. Can you take a minute and talk to us a little bit about your mom? Now, you keep referring to her as a famous witch. What does that mean?
Well, again, I was 6 years old, so I didn't really know a lot. But my mom had cancer she got from fertility treatments that she went through to have me. Okay, I was
Oh,
like the miracle baby, and she caught cancer. So I guess she wanted to do anything she could to extend her life. You know, they only gave her 6 months, and she lived 6 years after I was born.
okay.
So, but I still have people on Facebook. They'll reach out to me. At least half a dozen people already have reached out to me and said, "Hey, is your mom Diana Morgan?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "Well, I know her. I knew her when and back in the '70s. I guess that's sort of people were I guess they were a lot freer, but my mom was very popular. She knew everybody, the Cincinnati Reds, famous movie stars. She was a TV star herself. She was the curtain girl, the curtain woman on the giveaway show where she would open the curtains and do the hand thing and point to the gifts that the people had won.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so everybody seemed to love my mom pretty much. I wish I would have got to know her a little more, but it is what it is.
That's interesting. Um, so, is it the people on Facebook that you've heard the most about her life as a witch? Is that where you've gotten that?
Absolutely. Well, it was like we've always knew that she was a witch. She told us that. My father had told me that.
Okay.
But the ladies have been coming on Facebook. They tell me that she was something else. You know. So I don't know. Again, all right. I'll tell you something. All right. I was told by one lady that the reason that I've never had any. Okay. Now I don't know if you believe in witches, but you
Yeah.
know, as a psychic and as a paranormal investigator, I have a lot of friends who are witches,
Right.
Wiccans. There's so many different varieties. I don't even get into it, but
Right.
it seems like for some reason I always seem to have one or two witches get pissed off at me over the years, and they tried all these things against me, and and the one friend of my mom says, well, that's because your mother put a hex on you that said that no magic or witchcraft could harm you. So I thought that was kind of a neat thing, but again, I don't know. I don't give them any mind because again, I understand. I love their beliefs, just like the natives. I
Right.
love the beliefs, but the truth is, I walk my own path.
Right. I'm the same way. And I totally get what you're saying because I don't really fit in traditional religion at all, but I have different belief systems that go along with more natural things, I guess is the way to put it. So I do understand that completely. My family was very different than yours, but I had a grandfather that was the assistant attorney general for the state of Illinois. And also, he did seances every Thursday night and had a following in Chicago in the 1920s and 30s. And um, he did that most of his adult life while being an attorney, which I find hilarious because that's a funny combination. But yeah, he had quite a following. And
Huh. Did
yeah,
they ever do any table tapping?
I don't know. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so I just find it fascinating that a lot of psychics, if they do a little digging, most of us have a lineage that seems to have continued. So that's kind of amazing. So when you started doing your readings in public, where you had these events that you attended and such, I'm really curious and fascinated with your comment about people like to see a crystal ball or a deck of cards. And I do understand what you're saying because people get really nervous when they think you know stuff that you shouldn't know.
Absolutely. Like I said, if I touch somebody, if I have physical contact with someone, you would not believe the information I get off them. It's like a computer, and that really freaks a lot of people out, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what I'm saying. It seems like if you had the cards or a crystal ball or even the runs, it seems to give people that little bit of comfort, like, oh, it's not him, it's the cards or it's the crystal that's doing it. But have you ever been to a psychic festival?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I go to I do the biggest one in the world. It's the Body, Mind, and Spirit Festival here in Cincinnati,
Uh-huh.
and we've had up to 20,000 people there, and
Yeah.
it's just so much fun. And the people, see, I like to walk around when I'm not doing my readings, but I like to meet all the other psychics. I've met some like the Long Island medium Caputo,
Yeah.
met
Yeah.
her. John Edwards stopped by my booth.
Hmm.
There's been a lot of famous people come through. I mean, it's just all the energy is so good, and the people are so good. Um,
Nice.
the one here we have, they have crystals, they've got jewelry, they've got clothes. There's readers, there's healers. They got candy, they got food. It's just the greatest time, and I've been going for about 27 years to this. But
That's amazing.
I just really love doing it. And I've worked my way up. When I first started, I was the 22nd reader. Now I'm the number one reader. So,
Yeah.
because like I say, the lady told me that since that my seminars are standing room only,
Hmm.
and that I do a lot of business in my booth also. Just it's the greatest time. It's so nice to be with people. I don't know, my tribe. Is that a way to say it?
Yeah, yeah. It's people who are like-minded. That's what happens for me when I go to the Oregon Ghost Conference. Um, because it's not just like a Renaissance fair or something like that. It's more paranormal specific. And there's something very relaxing about knowing you're in a place where people agree with things being unusual in the world. There's just something very calming about that to be around like-minded people. So I totally get that. Um, so let me ask you a couple of questions, Dave. So, for people that are just figuring out that they are gifted in some way, with all of the education that you have had, can you think of a couple of things that you would suggest to someone that's learning to be psychic or learning to be a medium that you think would be good practices for them?
Absolutely. First and foremost, ground. Get outside in nature as much as possible. All right. Grounding, it'll take away any negativity, but it'll give you strength. It'll give you energy. Um, I've always been a big tree hugger. Okay. But living here in Cincinnati, we had a pretty bad winter this year. And everybody's like, well, how do you ground? Well, we'll go out and walk around and get a little vitamin D, but I got a box and I filled it with sand, and I bring it in and I open it up and I put my feet in it and it just feels so good. All
Nice.
right. But I like I say, I ground daily. If I can, I go outside barefoot. Like just the connection with the earth. See, as a stonemason or bricklayer, that's what I really like. Like right now I'm building a stone wall for a lady, a
Hmm.
retired lady. And but I like the connection with the earth and the stone and the ground. It's really gives me energy. But second thing I always say is if meditation. If you don't meditate, you should. Meditation will give you focus. It'll give you clarity. I always tell people to go to YouTube, find a meditation that you're comfortable with. There are literally hundreds on there. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, third thing, um, I would say find a group or find a mentor. All right. I myself, I've been going to a mediumship circle with all these 95-year-old psychics and mediums here in Cincinnati, and they all
Really?
drive like Rolls Royces and Bentleys, and we all meet. And they've been teaching me a lot. I've been working on a few techniques myself, but learn from people. Like I say, I always tell people as a psychic, okay, it's like we're looking at a jigsaw puzzle. Each one of us can get a little different piece, but when you
Yes.
put them all together. But just there's never stop learning. Always keep learning, keep growing. But okay, another family member I should have mentioned. She's here with me now, but is my Aunt Alice. Okay, she passed away about 2 years ago here in the house. Okay, but
Hmm.
she was a professional astrologer. She
Hmm.
studied in the 1970s with the Madarasi, whatever, and
Oh yeah.
learned that transcendental meditation. Remember that? Where
Oh
the
yeah.
thing was, they said they could fly. Remember that? Where they could float? I never saw her float, okay? But I'm telling you what, we would go to the local park because I love to go to hiking. I like to go to the beach. I like to go to the parks. But we were at the local park, she and she called the deer out of the woods. Right? She made this yodeling sound, and the deer came down, and I'm literally petting the deers. I got videos of this. And I'm like,
Wow.
how did you do this? And she said, that's just the way she was.
Wow.
But she was a true hippie from the 70s. She lived in communes, lived all over the world.
Right.
But she was a great inspiration. She came to live with me the last 3.5 years of her life, and it was really good to have her here. But my house is amazing. We're turning it into a bed and breakfast, a haunted bed and breakfast. Okay, I got
Nice.
15 rooms. All right. Um,
Hmm.
we're turning the whole upstairs into a haunted bed and breakfast. Right. We're gonna have a separate entrance, and
Hmm.
we've been buying period pieces from the 1860s, 1870s. We got pictures. We got hurricane lamps. We got an antique bed. It's going to be like a 3 room with a sitting room, a bedroom, and another room.
Hmm.
And but downstairs in my basement, see, I told you I got 15 rooms. I got four floors, but my basement we have tunnels that go all the way to the Ohio River, and that's how they used to bring the people from the Underground Railroad. The tunnels are stoned up right now, but a few of the stones have fallen out. You can stick your head in there and put a light in there, and I'm telling you what, the vibes are unbelievable. But
I bet.
I don't know, but that's my plan. But again, if you want to start into stuff, ask all the questions. The only wrong question is the one you don't answer, or you don't ask. But
Right.
again, just again, find like-minded people. And if you can, find a mentor, someone who can help you along the way. And again, I've learned from so many people, and I'm still learning from people. But I really like what I do, and I think this is one of my purposes. Um, I don't know. All right, tell you another real quick story. All right.
Okay. Yeah. No, we got lots of
Okay.
time.
I do a lot of work for this local real estate company, and they sent me to fix this old lady's steps. And I was out there working, and it was really hot. And lady says, "Would you like a Coke?" And I was like, "Sure, that'd be great." And this little old lady, about 5 feet tall, 80, 90 years old, came out, and she's kind of moving real slow, and she gives me a Diet Coke. And I don't like diet, but I drank it anyway. When we sat
Right.
down, she starts talking to me, telling me that her husband had just passed. Well, as a medium, I could feel this, the
Right.
weight, and I started talking to her. And again, when I do my mediumship reads, I never speak directly with spirit. I always have them go through my guides, my guardian angels.
Right.
They're my bouncers. I've seen people who channeling and stuff. I'm not into any of that.
Right.
Um, but so I talked with her, and and she thanked me, and she called the company and told them how great I was. And I was thinking to myself, this is why I do this. You know what I mean? To help people, and it really, really made me feel good. But it doesn't matter. Again, I can when I see pregnant ladies. Do you do this? When I see pregnant ladies, I'll go up to them and I'll say, you're having a boy. How do you know?
Yeah. It's just fun. I have a page on Facebook where people started writing to me that I started during COVID because I noticed that people were really upset about a lot of things. And I just found people were, they weren't sleeping and they were just so worried about everything. And it felt really good to do readings. And I hadn't ever done readings remotely before like that on along a great amount of them, I guess I should say. So like people were just sending me their pictures and I was reading their pictures. And in the prior years, I did the kinetic type readings like what you're talking about, where I'd either touch somebody's hand or they'd I've read all kinds of objects. I even had somebody mail me a sock once. I've done readings on hair, keys, business cards, pens, you name it. Um, but yeah, the readings remotely from photographs, it's just incredible. I read for people all over the world, and there is nothing more amazing than having somebody get back to me and tell me what happened after I read for them and what they discovered. And that just, I can't replace that. That is like the best thing in the world. I'm only helping people one at a time, but it feels amazing to give somebody something that they didn't have otherwise. And I wouldn't trade that for the world. I would not. I mean, that's, and I found, and maybe you can attest to this too, if I don't do enough readings, I don't feel very good. I actually feel better when I'm reading more. I actually have more energy and I sleep better and I just feel better. It's like stuff gets chaotic in my life when I don't read because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. My life contract is off the track if I'm not reading. So, yeah, I
Absolutely. One of my mantras is helping people heals me.
yeah,
I've always found that the biggest healers, the biggest psychics, readers, because we're supposed to give insight, guidance, and a little closure sometimes. But
right.
I've always found that people with gifts, they seem to have trauma in their that they grew up and that's the why they can help others. That's why they can feel it.
Hmm.
We're all a little empathetic anyway, but that's one of the things I always say, that helping others heals me. But I don't know. I always try my readings though. I don't want to. You don't want to tell everybody everything that you see. You don't. I never would do a dark reading. I've seen these where people are saying you're gonna die. It's like, why would you tell anybody something so negative? You
Right.
know. Um, I would say, if it was me and I saw that, I see this too when I'm in line. I see things all the time. But if I see somebody, okay, if I was doing a reading and I saw something like that was going to happen, I'd say, hey, go out and live tonight. Go out and enjoy yourself. Live like there's no tomorrow.
Right.
And I always try to put a positive spin on all my readings.
Right.
Um,
So
I
I have
don't
a
know.
question.
Yeah,
When you go to a large outing, like a state fair or something like a concert or something like that, um, do you ever have instances where you see attachments on people?
absolutely. I see that one in the stores all the time. I'll be down in Cincinnati walking around the city and I'll see these black blobs on buildings. All right. And again, I see attachments on, like I've had a few friends where I've seen attachments on. And I told my one friend, and she got all crappy and was like, he gives me power, he gives me strength. I said, oh no. I said, he's draining your energy. He's
Yeah, yeah,
lying to you. It
yeah,
is lying to you.
yeah.
So that's a touchy subject. I don't know, but I don't know.
So I don't know about you,
Attachments.
but yeah, I have a policy that I don't tell people things unless they ask. I mean, I really talk to my guides a lot, and I have had several incidences, and I'm sure you have too, where I'm at a restaurant with my husband and my spirit guides are just yammering in my ear about you got to give this lady a note or you got to tell that guy this thing. And that's really my only exception. If my spirit guides are really pestering me and telling me you need to share, then I do. But otherwise, I try to be more respectful that if somebody's willing to receive information, then it might work better for them, unless it's just a spontaneous collision of life where, I just got to share this, that, or the other. I had one that really stands out to me. There was a lady that was on a date with this guy, and I saw this entire movie play out where he became very abusive to her, and it was really ugly. And my spirit guides were like, you must tell her to distance herself from this guy. It's bad. And they showed me all this stuff to kind of, I guess, motivate me that, you're not imposing, you're preventing. That's why you guys are here at the same time. This is for a reason. You need to do this. And I knew in reading her a little bit that she was having second thoughts. She was feeling a little apprehensive. There were a couple of little things that he had done that set off a red flag, but she was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt and trying to not assume the worst. And I never did find out what happened with them, but I felt better giving her the note because I felt like I at least had done my due diligence to try and help prevent her from something that could have been really cataclysmic, something really bad. So that felt better. So tell me something that you're really proud of in the work that you've done.
Oh, gosh, okay. All right, I'm gonna tell you a story about the Body Mind and Spirit Festival from last year in November. Okay,
Okay.
okay, okay. I love these. Like I say, I mean, it's just we're having one in a month too in April. But I'm going down to the room and there's people lined up. They're lined all the way up. Okay, they're sitting down. They're waiting for me. I open the door. They all rush in, right? And the place is standing room only. Okay, and I mean, and my wife's looking at me, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. This is great. 'Cause I get energy off people. I'm not an energy vampire, but when I go to like crowds, like a festival or maybe a concert, I get good energy off of people. It's a scared energy. And but I got all these people in here, and again, when I tell you, I read everybody in the room. I mean, boom, 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 right? And I'm reading people, and I look in the back, and there's a security lady in there because everybody's in there, and it's standing room only. And there's a couple of security people. I looked at her, and I this lady, I said, I pulled her the card, and I said, I said, you need to work on yourself. You got to eat better. I said, you need to start getting more sleep. She goes, yeah, I haven't been sleeping. And then I looked at that security lady again. I said, I said, somebody loves you. She goes, oh my God. She holds up her hand. She's got a diamond ring. He just proposed to me this morning.
Oh my
and everybody in the crowd, my wife looks at me and I'm like, you get that. Sometimes you get in that zone, you know what I mean? Where you,
yes. How fun. I love it when stuff like that happens. That's so cool. And you were probably far enough away from her, you couldn't have seen the ring to know.
Oh, so she was all the way in the back. There was, probably, I don't know, I'm going to say 50, 70 feet away. And but I mean, I don't know. I can't explain it. Like I say, sometimes when my guides, they whisper in my ears, like you were saying, and they're like, and I was like, really? And everybody's like, how can you do so many? Because like I say, when I was in the bigger groups, I was in like GOB, and I would do lives, and I would get 1,000 people on there. I didn't read the whole 1,000 people, but I mean, I was able to read them, and everybody's like, I can read mass amounts, right? Everybody's like, how were you able to do that? I said, it's not me. It's never been me. It's my guides. Right. Okay. I'm just a messenger. But I don't know. That's probably the favorite thing I've ever had happen in my whole life. All right, let me tell you a Bigfoot story. I love the fact that you're into all this because again, there's not very many people that I can relate to. But okay, when I was 12 years old, I was in Boy Scouts. Okay, and we went up to Michigan, up to the UP, the Upper Peninsula. All right. And, there's probably 30 kids, and we got some scoutmasters. And, we had a great day of hiking and canoeing. I was enjoying it. And we put our tents up. About 2 or 3 in the morning, the tent falls down on top of us. And we all come out of our tents, and all the tent stakes have been pulled up, and there's this smell of sulfur. And the camp counselors, the master, the scoutmaster, he's like, it was nothing, it was just a bear. But I saw him and he was trying to cover a footprint. Right, and it was a giant footprint, but the smell of sulfur was everywhere. I've never seen a Bigfoot, and I've heard a couple wood knocks in the woods because I love to go to the woods. I get energy, but I mean, I've always thought about that when I was a kid. You know what I mean? It was a really amazing experience. I mean, and I wasn't the only one. There was 30 other kids there. So, it's one of those guys.
I was 12 years old when I had a Bigfoot experience, and my parents and I were camping, and I had never heard of that. I had never heard, there was nothing on the TV about that in the 70s. I'd never, that I remember anyway, I never was exposed to that. And then, of course, when I told my parents what I saw, we, of course, left the next morning because they were freaked out. But yeah, I mean, I love all that stuff. So have you seen a UFO?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, my father, he was in the army, but then he was in the Air Force Reserve, right? And and he was stationed at Wright Patterson, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he told us stories about how they were guarding a UFO in one of those hangars, okay?
Okay.
But one night he came and woke us up, got us out of bed, me and my sister. He said, "You got to get up now," and pointed out and showed us a light going like this, and it was not moving like any plane because a plane can't turn, and you know,
Right.
it was doing
Right.
things that and I'm finding it hard to believe that anybody could be piloting something like that. Um, and that was one experience that I always remember.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you've had a real cornucopia of different things happen, it sounds like.
Again, I've always been the weird kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've always like to say, okay, I run several groups on Facebook, and in the one group, I probably got 100 of my friends and relatives are in the group. Okay, and
Yeah.
they're always saying, and then people are always like, when I do readings and stuff, I'll do lives on there and stuff, and people are like, oh, that was great, and my friends say, Dave's always been like that. It's pretty funny,
So
but
really quick, I want to put on the screen for people to look at. So is this right, Dave
yeah,
Adomus? Okay.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
Dave,
Facebook deleted my Dave Wells account. I don't know why. They didn't give me any reason. So I got a new account. It's a new account, but it's Dave Wells, but it's Dave Adamus, like Nostradamus.
okay. So just for anybody listening that's listening to this podcast and not viewing it on YouTube, it's Dave Dave, and then the last name is Adomus. Just send him a friend's request or send him a message on Messenger, and he'll talk to you. Um, so Dave, I want to talk some more about some of your experiences of doing investigations. Now, tell me about that. What have you done in the field of like ghost investigations or paranormal investigations?
Oh, let's see. Golly, I've got, like I say, this is one of the favorite. Me and the wife, my children are all grown up, so we like I say, we like to travel. We try and go somewhere every weekend. Let's see, what would be a good. All right, how about the time when me and the wife went to Point Pleasant. It's been about, I guess, about 6 or 7 years ago. We went out. See, I live on the river in Cincinnati, and there's a local road that goes right along the river all the way to Point Pleasant, West Virginia,
Okay.
Route 52, and it's right like a quarter mile from my house, and it's a straight shot. I mean, you're
Okay.
going right along the river. So we go to Point Pleasant, and then we go to I guess where the ammunition dump was, the ammunition place was,
Oh,
and
sure. Okay.
there's all these. Have you ever been there?
No.
They've got all these like metal buildings. Okay, they look like something from like a Gomer pile, right? And
Hmm.
you look on the outside, they look like they're, I don't know, 8 foot by 10 foot, right? But you
Right.
go inside, and they are incredibly huge. I mean, these things are 100 feet wide. All right. I mean, when you walk in, everything echoes, and there's all these graffiti in there saying, he watches you and all this. And it's like, huh. And there's all kinds of people at this place because it's very popular. There's probably 30 or 40 people when we're walking around this, and there's a stagnant pond, and people are
Hmm.
saying, this is where I saw him, and this is where I saw him. And it gets to be about dusk. And me and the wife, we got about an hour drive, so we're getting our stuff together and getting ready to go back. These kids come around, they said, we just saw the Mothman. So we laughed and laughed. So I'm taking some videos, right? And
Right.
there's one where I'm by this door, okay? And didn't think nothing about wife. I'm like, and this Dave Wells, I said, and I start talking. And then so we get in the car and we drive home, but it's just, we had this feeling like, like we were being watched the whole time, right?
Right.
So we get home that night. We go to bed. We're tired. We drove, and had a great investigation. Walked around, got a lot of pictures, took a lot of videos. We stopped at the Mothman Museum, got some T-shirts. It was just a great day. So about 2 o'clock in the morning, I got a pit bull, American bulldog, and a hound dog, and they are throwing a fit. They are barking, and so I opened the back door. My backyard's fenced in with a 6 foot tall
Hmm.
stockade fence, right?
Okay.
And I let them out, and I look back, and there's some kind of black figure on the stockade fence, right? And I think
On the
it's
fence?
on the fence. And I thought, well, just some birds, you know. We have some large turkey buzzards around here and stuff.
Sure.
But then the fence starts going like this, and this is a 6 foot stockade fence with four by fours and concrete. So I'm thinking, what the heck? And my dogs make a beeline at him, and they're jumping and snapping at whatever the thing is. It flies off. So I told my wife. So we're looking. I told my wife the story. I said, you know, what was something made the dogs go crazy? So we're watching the video the next day. All right, I'm
Mhm.
standing there and I'm talking, and behind me, all right, there's all these bushes and trees, but one bush is doing this. Just one bush is moving. All right, and it's like, what's going on? So I believe that something followed us, flew right on the river because I mean, it's a straight shot. 52 is a straight shot from Point Pleasant to where I live in Cincinnati. Right. So I don't know. You know, it seems like kind of feels like all these experiences I have. It's kind of like I'm a magnet for this stuff. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does. It totally does. And I'm gonna actually send you some links when we're done for some of my other interviews with people that have had similar experiences to you that you might really enjoy. Definitely. So, in all of these experiences, can you tell me what was the funniest one that you can think of? Something that really made you laugh.
Well, when I was younger, I we went to Bobby Mackey's, okay, and they used to do this ghost tour, and it was the greatest tour, okay. Um, they tell you the stories, and you get down in the basement in the dungeon where they have the I guess they would call it you would call it the well to hell, I guess, the portal to hell they call it.
Okay.
We're down there, we're walking around, we go to the we check that out, we see where the slaughterhouse was, we go to the maintenance man's place where the maintenance man was, but they say the maintenance man only liked women and tall blonde women, right? And I'm
Right.
with a 6 foot tall beautiful Amazon lady, right? And we're walking in the thing, and we smell the smell of roses, right? And it's like, what is that? And then the next thing I know, I'm being shoved out of this little room, right? Literally pushed out the room. And my friend, she's there, and she's standing there saying, Dave, Dave. And and I was like, oh, I guess, you know, I guess the maintenance man, we just want to have you all to himself. But she was mad at me from that point on, so I guess it wasn't to be.
Aw, that's too funny. That's too funny. So, what do you do to help protect yourself when you're going to do readings? What do you do?
Okay. Well, okay. First thing I always do is I always meditate. Okay.
Hmm.
Before I do any readings, I cleanse myself. I turn myself into a blank canvas, I guess, you know. And I'm a big fan. I didn't say this before, but y'all should learn shielding. Okay. It's
Hmm.
just imagining that you have a force field around you. My aunt Alice used to call it the egg of white light, and then only spirits
I,
of good and you know can enter. But I always imagine that there's this egg of white light. When I go in the car, I imagine it and I expand it around the car. When I fly in an airplane, I imagine it around the entire airplane. And I feel
right.
the more you practice it, the more power you put into it, the more energy you put into it, the stronger it is. But I always, like I say, I clear myself out, and then you know, I like to ground, meditate, and then I like to a shield, okay, and then I
Hmm.
come in and I don't know. I guess let spirit take over. Again, it's never me when I do readings. It's always something else.
Right.
My wife always makes fun of me. She says sometimes I talk in a strange accent, and I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't notice any of this stuff. But she gets a kick out of it.
Yeah, I actually imagine that egg of light. In fact, it's funny. I went through hypnosis training in 2020, and that's one of the things they use to help people feel better is to teach them to imagine this egg of light around them all the time. And my mom always taught me to, imagine that you're covered basically in a white light. And to me, it looks a little bit like an aura type of light where it goes around your whole body. And so before I do seances, because I do those every week now, that's what I do around my neighbor's house, my car, and I cover my finances, I cover my pets, my husband, everybody. But I also do my surroundings because I know that the energy attracts a lot of things. And so I want everybody to be safe. I want everybody to be covered. But I do that for myself every day. I have to, because being a light person, I attract all kinds of things that are in need of energy. And some of them are nicer than others. I'll put it that way. Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you, Dave. So, have you had any experiences with, and I'm going to use two different phrases, okay? One is commonly known and one is preferred. So, the commonly known phrase is fairies, but in my studies of fairies, I have been advised that they prefer to be called good neighbors. They don't like the term fairies. Have you dealt with any or have you seen any?
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll tell you two stories. All right. I
Okay.
was seeing when I was younger. I was seeing a girl from Japan. All right,
Mhm.
and she was something else, but she always said she was her ancestors were Fae. All right,
Okay.
and she was very small and beautiful and petite and very smart, and she could draw and paint like nobody's business. But
Hmm.
she always said she was a like I say. She always said her ancestors were Fae. I always thought that was kind of interesting, right?
Right.
But all right. So here's a great story. All right, I was 17. Okay, summer job. I worked for a landscaper. We would mow grass. We would weed flower beds, put flowers in there. Weed eat whatever needed to be done. But the boss, he had a drinking problem. This is back in the early '70s, so he had a
Sure.
drinking problem, and he would drop me off. And the one client, one customer he had every week was a funeral home, but it had closed. But they still were paying, and he was still mowing the grass and taking care of the flower beds. But he would
Right.
drop me off, and he would come back 3 hours later, usually drunk as a skunk.
Yeah.
But one day I was there, and you know how something can, I caught something just out of the corner of my eye. It
Hmm.
ran past me. And then a black racer snake. I don't know if you've ever seen those. I don't know if you have those
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was about a 6 or 7 foot black racer. And I hate snakes, okay?
Yeah.
But I thought it was a bunny or a chipmunk or something. So I
Right.
grabbed up that snake and I threw it away. I mean,
Hmm.
I would never, ever do that. I hate snakes, okay?
Yeah.
But when I looked, I was like, what? And it looked like a little Tinkerbell fairy. I thought, what? And it disappeared in the rock on the flower bed. I thought,
Okay.
oh, I'm just, I'm seeing things, this heat must be getting to me. So the next week I came back to do the flower bed, right?
Hmm.
And on one of the rocks, and I'm the only person. This funeral home is out in the nowhere, and I'm the only person that's been in this place in years. And
Right.
the main rock was a silver dime. And I thought, oh, wow. So I took the
Okay.
silver dime, I put it in my pocket, right?
Mhm.
And so then I did my things, and I come back around on the same rock is a ring. And I thought,
Oh,
what? So I
wow.
thought, what is this? So
Yeah.
okay. So then I go home and I'm talking to my Aunt Alice on the phone. And I tell her the story. She says, Dave, the fairy is just repaying your kindness.
Oh, right.
So I thought,
Yeah. They're
wow,
very generous. They're super
but
generous.
I've still got the ring and I've still got the silver dime.
That is awesome. I love that. I love that. That is amazing. I will share some other stories with you another time, but that's lovely. I love that. That is a great story. That is a wonderful, wonderful story. Um, I've met a lot of different spirits or ghosts with my readings and especially with my seances. And so my seances are a little different in that I don't have people coming to me to talk to passed on loved ones. I have spirits coming to me to talk to me about they want to do something or share a story or um, discuss an issue. And I had one this last week that was absolutely a tickle to me. She's from a local cemetery that's had a lot of development around it, and she's bothered by it. And she actually came and asked me if there was anything I could do about all the people. She said, I just don't like them. And I said, okay. And she goes, can you do something about that? Can you get rid of them? Because she just was just disturbed by so many people. Because originally the cemetery was very much out in the boonies, and civilization has kind of crept up on it. And so she gets very unnerved by people, and partly because ghost investigators have been out, and that really scares the crap out of her because she doesn't know why they're there or what they want. And so it was just very fun to hear her perspective on that. So, do you have some ghost stories that you can share from ghosts that you've encountered and dealt with?
Well, let's see. Gosh. Um, well, I was gonna say first thing though, when I another thing, okay, being an empath, okay, that's where that shielding can really come in handy because like we were talking about when you're out among people or how
Yeah.
as your gifts grow, you'll be feeling things and you can't take in everybody's feelings or
Right,
thoughts or I always tell people, if you're a giver, you can't give and give and give to everybody because
right,
that'll wear you out and then you can't help
yeah,
anybody. But
right.
all right, let's see, ghost stories. Gosh, well, okay, all right. Well, when I was about 17, me and my first wife, who I love dearly, she passed away when she was 27. Really
Mhm.
broke my heart. Um, but
Yeah.
she and I, her friends, they rented a haunted house, a local haunted house where the owner's wife had died
Hmm.
and he had slit his wrist. And
Oh, okay.
and his dogs, he had dogs and they had eaten on the body, and they didn't weren't discovered for months, okay? And
Wow.
so this house sat vacant for probably 10 or 12 years, but then somebody bought it and they no, they did and they said they rented it to our friends. And they said, "Hey, if you guys want to do some fixing up, we'll let you move in." Well, the first thing we had to do, we tried cleaning, okay, the spray of the blood on the walls didn't want to clean up, so we decided to paint over it, right? And
Wow.
we painted it and we did the place looked so good. We cleaned it up, we painted everything, and they started moving in. They had their boxes, and they said, "This is the '70s," so we said, "Let's throw a house party," right?
Right.
So everything was going great. Everybody's you were underage, but we're still drinking a little and having a good old time. And I think we went to the beer run and we go to the store, me and my wife and a couple other people, and we come back and we see the lights flashing. And there was, half a dozen people in there, we thought, right? We're like, what's going on? Why is somebody
Mm.
turning on off lights? And we go in and there's nobody there. Everybody had ran and left because something was going on. All right. So we're looking around and we're like, what's going on? And on the wall where we had painted over where the spray from the blood was, the blood had come back through the paint. All right. About that time, a music box that they had found in a shed back in the backyard
Right.
starts playing music. Nobody around it. There's only
Okay.
four of us in this place at this time. And when there was 30 people in there, it was fine. But when there was four of us, the weight and everything. And again, I've always been empathetic. I've always felt
Right.
things,
Right.
and I'm like, I am out of here. So,
Yes.
we all ran out of there, but that was pretty scary for a 17-year-old boy. I'll
No
never
kidding.
forget it.
Wow. That had to be incredible. That's amazing.
But what was so funny about the lights coming in and off, right? There was no electricity. They hadn't turned it on yet.
Oh, holy smokes. Wow. Isn't
So
that
that was
something?
like I say, it was one of those things. But again, I've never been afraid of spirit. I don't know. As a medium, when you go to cemeteries, do you ever have the spirit try and talk to you or reach out to you, or what about when you go to an emergency room? That's the worst for me. Um,
Yeah.
and
So
I have
that,
to do a double check to make sure if they're living or not. I mean, because
yeah,
yeah, if it was like
that's a rough one.
yeah,
I
they
had
don't.
I yeah, I had a guy that showed up a few months ago at my seance, and I felt so bad for him. He had gotten stuck in an emergency room, kind of wandering around for years. He went in when there were several accidents that had happened at one time, and he just got confused. He didn't realize he had died, and there was so much chaos going on. And it's like when people ask me, why doesn't a spirit move on? Why don't they go to the light? Because sometimes they're so distracted, they don't realize they're dead, number one. Number two, it's not that they don't have an option to go. They always have an option to move on to another life if they want. But sometimes so much chaos is happening, they're distracted. They are not focused on what's going on in front of them, and they get very upset and don't realize what's happened. And so one of my most amazing ones is I had two best friends show up, and they were just giddy as two schoolgirls could be. They'd known each other all through their lives. One of them had been terminally ill, and another one had gone out of town for some reason and suddenly died. So they both died within weeks of each other. And so their spirits tried to find one another because they were like, where's my friend? How come my friend's not here? And what's going on? And it took them years to find each other. And when they finally did, they didn't want to leave. They just wanted to stay and check on their families and check on each other and spend time together. And they just traveled around and had a good old time. They had a blast. But yeah, I mean, things happen when people pass that we don't think about. It's like, it doesn't mean they're miserable. It doesn't mean they're lost. Like, that's why I love that bumper sticker, not all who wander are lost, because I know a lot of spirits that just really want to hang out. They're just hanging out. That's
And
all.
a lot of times they feel they have unfinished business, you know, that they, and I found a lot of times though, like a husband or, you know, a father, they want to watch over and take care of their children. But that's the difference between a spirit. There's another kind of spirits that I've noticed that are called loopers. They don't seem to have any kind of cognizance. You can't talk to them, but they keep doing the same thing over and over.
Right.
But I feel that I don't know. I think that my opinion on this is that really a spirit cannot physically hurt you. Okay, like they can give you a heart attack, or they can chase you down some stairs or off a cliff, or you can chase them down some stairs or off a cliff. But normally they really can't physically harm you. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I don't know. It's again. Hey. Sorry, I got Maine Coons. Sorry. But I don't know. It seems to me that a lot of times though, when spirit they go to the light, okay, they're turned to energy, okay, they're light. And when I see them, when I contact them, they never look like they died. They don't look like zombies or anything like that.
Right.
They usually look how they in their best, in their most pristine, their most vital, you know, way they want to present themselves. I'm not going to say I've never seen a spirit show me their older self, but usually they're all in their early 30s in perfect shape, and they present themselves. But I always thought that was different, you know. But yeah, I've ran across so many spirits that they don't want to leave because like they were maybe like invalid. They couldn't get out of the bed for years. They were stuck and they would watch TV and see all these places. And now they're free. They're able to go anywhere they want, do anything they want. They're seeing the world like they always wanted to. The Eiffel Tower, the Mount St. Helens. You know, they're traveling. They're living their best afterlife.
Right. And that's a great way to put it. I like that you put it that way, Dave, because they are happy. They don't have anything about a body to encumber them. They don't have to worry about getting cold or too hot, and they don't have to sleep if they don't want to. They do have to rest, but it's not the same. They're not inhibited. They can go and do as they want. And once they figure out how to navigate themselves around, and I'm curious if you've ever encountered this. Have you ever encountered places where ghosts transport themselves to other locations? Have you ever been around that?
All right. When I was younger, I'm a minimum wage kid. I'm a trailer park kid, so we were in a trailer park, okay, and all of a sudden something came through the wall and literally ran in front of us as we were watching TV and disappeared in the other wall. And so we ran outside like, what's going on? And the neighbors were saying, what was that? So apparently the spirit or whatever it was ran through this whole line of trailers. They were talking like 10 or 20 trailers.
Oh, good Lord.
And I always wondered about that, you know what I mean? It's like, when they came through, it wasn't like they were coming through a door. It was like they were, how would I say it? I don't know, like the light would shimmer, you know what I mean? Like a diamond would, you know, give you that kind of, and that's how but it ran right past us. And we were just kids watching TV, and it's like, what the heck was that? But I don't know. But I'm a big fan of astral projection. I don't know if you do astral projection, do
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
I've been doing astral projection since I was 6 years old. When I was 6 years old, I saved up my money and I sent away for this astral projection book and tape. And it
Oh
came
wow.
from it had all these sounds of the whales singing to each other, and
Mhm.
the fog and the bells, and it had kind of had that moodiness. And you listen to it and you meditate, and it was really interesting. I really, like I say, I've always been like this, and I don't know. That's one of my favorite things to do. But I always tell people, think about spirits are okay. They're shadows. Okay, they're just shadows. They're not as strong as a living, breathing person is. Okay, our real power, our real strength, our real energy is our spirit. Okay,
Yeah.
and as a human being, a living, breathing human being, I'm more powerful than any ghost, any spirit ever. Okay,
Right.
and like people say, well, I can put protections up to stop, like geodes in the front door, or I don't know, tiger's eye here, or turtling. That is fine for spirits, maybe even entities or whatever, other beings. But that has no effect upon a living, breathing person. As long as I have that silver cord connected to my body, I am
Mhm.
super powerful,
Yeah.
supercharged.
I think I have to say I agree with what you said earlier about everybody having a gift. And I do believe that. I think that most of us, it's talked out of us. We're told, no, you didn't hear that. No, you didn't see that. No, you didn't. No, nobody's in the corner. I love a lot of the TikTok or YouTube videos shorts where, there's little kids and they walking by the bathroom and they wave and the mom says, who are you waving at? What are you doing? Well, there's a guy in the corner there. I'm just saying goodnight, and it's like for kids, it's all part of life. They don't think twice about it. They see things, they feel things, and it's all natural because they're equipped to do that from birth. But I think I would love to see a generation get to the point where we don't discourage children from those things and we help kids that it's okay. If you have an imaginary friend, maybe it's not so imaginary. I have a dear friend that grew up with another small child ghost her whole life, and she found out when she was much older that she had a sister that died that was born before her, and the ghost gave her name. That was the name that her sister had. And so,
Wow.
yeah, there's all kinds of these connections and links that we have to the other side. And for me, and I don't know, you might agree with this, I feel like the spirit world is far bigger than our living physical world. I feel like it's far more involved. I feel like there's a lot more creatures in it. I feel like there's a lot more energy in it. And to me, the physical world is just a playground, and the real world is the spirit world that surrounds it and that is around it in all directions. Because that's what it feels like to me, anyway.
Absolutely. All right. I'm getting ready. I've got my son and my daughter-in-law are having a child. Right. She's 2 weeks over right now. Right.
Oh, wow.
But I have three granddaughters with them. Right.
Uh huh.
Each one of them was born with a caul over their head. You ever heard of that? A shroud over their head?
No, no.
It's supposed to be a sign of psychic gift, right? And
Okay.
my eldest granddaughter with my son is she is scarily powerful. Scary, dude. I'm telling you what.
Yeah.
It's like Carrie. I'm expecting the wind to blow up and but I don't know. But yeah, we're waiting on my grandson. I cannot wait though. I'm so excited. But I don't know. But they don't like again. My children. They've always grew up around me and their mother. But she passed away again. They were very young. I had to raise four children on my own, right?
Wow.
And I was lucky enough. Like I say, in my house, my father he was an engineer, but he always um he always gave possibilities. We'd have these dinner type table talks where we'd talk about UFOs or Bigfoot. My father
Right.
he was an amazing man, spoke 12 languages. He was an engineer at General Electric.
Wow.
One of his best friends was a man named Werner Braun, who was a
Mm-hmm.
rocket scientist. Okay, and I came from Germany to America, helped us
Mm-hmm.
with the space program.
Right.
Right, and so I was lucky, but I always tried to give my children that anything is possible kind of feeling,
Sure.
or I guess hope and stuff. So, but my son, they like I say, him and his wife, they're having their fourth child. They're having the baby at home. A midwife's going to deliver it.
Nice.
They're very fundamental Christians, which is great. but
Right.
but they've never given them any kind of vaccinations, or their children are healthy. I mean,
That's good.
they're homeschooled and they're all doing fantastic. And it's just the fact when you give a child some freedom, and feels like they can blossom like a flower.
Yeah, absolutely. That is awesome. That is
An
awesome.
old Buddhist proverb. Okay,
Okay.
the difference between like and love. Do you know what the difference between like and love is?
What's that?
If you like a flower, you're gonna pick it. You're gonna smell it. You might put it in a book and press it, right? But if
Hmm.
you love a flower, you're gonna feed it. You're gonna water it. You're gonna watch it grow.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, again, for those of you that would like to get a hold of Dave, you can reach him on Facebook, and it's Dave Adomus, Adomus. Dave, I just want to thank you for chatting with me tonight. This has been a blast. I appreciate your time, and all of your stories are wonderful. Um, Thank you so much for visiting. And this is Holly from Holly's Pandorium. We'll be talking to you again soon. Hang on, Dave, just 1 minute.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon.